month is feelings, because our feelings are an attractive force. You've heard that we don't necessarily get our desire, we get our expectation about our desire. Because our expectation are the feelings we are pouring into how we feel about our desire. So I may desire to take a cruise to Alaska, but then if my next thought is, well, how will I talk my husband into that? Where will I get the money? Well, my expectation is really more in the doubts about ever taking a cruise. So those are my feelings. So I'm going to talk today about, we've got our divine idea or our divine inspiration on the one hand, and then the manifestation of that divine idea into our life. Well, I'm going to be talking about all the stuff in here, because all this in here, from the divine idea to the manifestation, is filled with our feelings about the desired outcome. And our feelings are either supporting the desired outcome or they are not supporting. So we get a divine idea and we immediately run it through the creative process. We get an inspiration, something that would make our life feel good. We run it through the creative process, which is we see it in our imagination. We use our imagination, we see it, we try it on. We decide if we like how it feels. If we do like how that feels, then we decide that's our desired outcome. And then we practice the creative process by seeing it, feeling it, speaking it out loud. I love to speak my desires out loud in the affirmative prayer process because it makes me feel so good. So all those good feelings are being poured into a mold or a pattern for that desired outcome. We're building it in divine mind, though, in the area of pure source energy, pure creative substance. So we keep pouring forth those feelings, which are energy, and then there's a tipping point, and boom, our desired outcome appears in our life. But that's the short version. That's the version that we wish we all had, right? Real short and sweet, happens quickly because we imagined it and felt really good about it a few times. But sometimes between here and there, we have obstacles we have to face up to that we put there. We have challenges we overcome. We have to transform ourselves. Because what's happening is this divine idea that became the desired outcome that we want to see manifest in our life, it's not present in our life right now. It's still a desired outcome. So here in our life, we have a level of consciousness which allows us to have the life we have right now. It doesn't take any extra work, doesn't take changing our thoughts or transforming. We just maintain it very easily, doing what we do every day without thinking about it. This is called our comfort zone. Our desired outcome is outside the comfort zone. Now, for us to include the desired outcome as a truth within our physical reality, in our experience, we expand our consciousness to include it. Now, the expansion of consciousness means transformation because we change. We are actually changing on a physical and spiritual level, not just a spiritual level, not just a mental level, but actually we change physically too. So we think about this desired outcome. It's outside of our comfort zone. That's why we don't have it yet. That's why we're not experiencing it yet. This change in consciousness, this is why lottery winners rarely hang on to the millions and millions of dollars that they win. Because their level of consciousness is here for their current level of abundance. That's where they're comfortable. They win millions of dollars, which is out here. Rather than expanding their consciousness to include all that abundance, they spend all that money to get what they have back into their comfort zone. So that's what we're doing when we are bringing a divine idea into desired outcome, into the manifestation stage. We go through a transformation that includes the physical. So we start with a creative process, See it, feel it, speak it out loud. We are imagining our desired outcome. We're feeling it. We're pouring all those feelings of excitement and faith into that desired outcome. Then we start receiving divine instruction on how to make that happen. Okay, because when we're in that feeling of already having our desired outcome, we actually start the process of expanding our consciousness. And so we receive divine instruction from the new level of consciousness, not this level where we're at in our comfort zone. You've heard the quote, you can't solve a problem with the same mind that created it. Because the problem is in our comfort zone, the solution is outside the comfort zone. So we have to expand our consciousness to include the solution. So you have heard the term, Source works through me and for me by working as me. Okay, or some version of that. Source works through us by working for us as us. This is where our physical part is really important, because whatever we want to, whatever experience we want to bring into our life, it has to come through us. It has to come through our physical activity. It has to come through our new choices. The activity we're doing right now doesn't include that. So we're going to listen for divine instruction and act on new activity that's outside the comfort zone. So this is where it becomes physical. Our body is a physical anchor for that desired outcome. It's a physical anchor. We have all the feelings, the good energy we're pouring into it, and it knows where to land. It knows who to come through, because we are the anchor for that. Now, this is where things get interesting, because this is where divine instruction starts taking us out of the comfort zone. Remember, everything in here we've already done, we're already good at, we do without thinking. But everything we're doing in here only gets us all that we have in here. It doesn't include what's out here, so the divine instruction takes us out of our comfort zone. So it starts getting uncomfortable, because the mental activities of this process all feel really good. When I do affirmative prayer, when I do the creative process, I feel really good. If I sit with Brother Mark or Frankie or Audrey and do an affirmative prayer with them, or they do the prayer for me, it feels transformational. It feels so good. However, transformation doesn't actually happen until we start taking new action. So I have to follow the divine instruction I receive. We're bringing it into the physical. Now, divine instruction, when we talk about receiving divine guidance, I remember when I was younger and I first started getting into all this, and I was like, oh, divine guidance. That'll be like, oh, make a vision board, or go to the beach, or something glittery, right? I thought all divine guidance would be happy and spiritual and magical. But this is what divine guidance actually looks like, and I know you know this, okay, when I read this to you. Say that somebody wants to have deeper relationships in their life. Divine instruction may look like leave an abusive partner, set boundaries, stop saying no when you, or start saying no when you mean no, instead of saying yes when you mean no, and then complaining about it to everybody later. Stop complaining all the time. Make time to make new friends. Go to events outside of work. Now, not all of that sounds super fun or super easy. How about if we want a new job or new promotion? Volunteer to take on a bigger project. One that seems so big you don't know if you could handle it on your own, but you step up and do it. Be a team player. Help everybody on your team grow. Ask for more training instead of waiting to be offered the training. How about health and well-being? That might sound like divine instruction. Might sound like go off of gluten. Stop eating so many potato chips. Give up sugar. Go walking. Stop getting on the internet first thing in the morning and falling down that rabbit hole for 3 hours. Now, if we're asking for health and well-being and we're not already doing this, it's because we don't want to do this, right? This divine instruction means we have to change a lifestyle. How about just having greater abundance in general? That divine instruction may sound like, try out frugal living for 40 days. Create a budget and stick to it. Open a savings account. Open a savings account. So if we don't already have our deeper relationships or that dream job or the vibrant health or the great abundance, that means there's something in that list I read off to you that's not being done. Right? There's something that's not being done. If we don't have it in here already, it's out here where we haven't taken that action yet. We haven't done that. So right here, this is where it starts feeling. Between here and here, we get to here. And it's telling us to do something hard that feels hard to us, right? I'm sorry, giving up sugar. Oh, I do this all the time. Right? I always give up sugar like once a month. So the creative process, it helps get us moving because it gets us to the place where we can receive the divine instruction. But see, now the divine instruction is going to ask us to do something outside of the comfort zone. It's not going to be glittery or sparkly or fun or magical. It's going to be out here asking us to do something different. So suddenly it feels hard. Now a lot of people will give up at this point because they think, well, shouldn't this all be easy? Because isn't the universe going to do all the work for me? What about in an easy and relaxed manner? Shouldn't it all be easy and relaxed? What about with grace and ease, right? What about with grace and ease? And I'm actually going to talk about that in a minute. And so when the universe hasn't made everything happen, like I don't have deeper relationships or great abundance, well, why did the universe do that? Oh, because maybe the universe is telling me I'm on the wrong path. That is a big excuse. The universe must be telling me I'm on the wrong path. But I don't know about you, but I've made some terrible decisions, and the universe never made it hard for me to make a bad decision. Because it's our feelings creating an expectation, feeding all that energy into what we believe we'll experience in our life. The universe says yes. The universe says yes to everything. So I'm going to talk about two things that help us get from here to here without losing our minds. The first thing that we want to understand is that to get something that's out of our comfort zone into our comfort zone, we have to sacrifice whatever that is that's keeping our desired outcome out here. Now for me, not too long ago, I finally finished this book I was working on for a long time. I had to sacrifice goofing off in the morning and instead commit to writing for 2 hours, no matter what. I would take care of family obligations and stuff around the house that had to be taken care of, you gotta feed your dogs or they'll just bug you all morning. But then the next thing I did was that 2 hours. Even if I found out a new fun show was on Netflix and what I really wanted to do was go watch that, I committed to the 2 hours and I sacrificed the goofing off time. If we want to be physically fit, we may have to sacrifice being a couch potato. Now, sacrifice is a very loaded word, but I found this wonderful description of it in the Ernest Holmes papers. Dr. David Fink was speaking with Ernest Holmes, and he said, we have to sacrifice everything that is not essential to the achievement of our goal. We have to give up something of a lower nature to receive something of a higher nature. So we sacrifice something in our comfort zone. It's not serving us. It's just a way for us to waste our time. That's what that is. Like sugar, waste our time. But sometimes we have to get rid of it because it's better for us. Now along with sacrifice comes this idea that any divine direction, we have to want to do it, right? Because it's a spiritual journey. But see, everything we want to do right now, we're doing, and it's keeping us in our comfort zone. We don't have to want to make that big change. Like, who wants to give up sugar? Who wants to give up Netflix? But are you willing to give up sugar? Are you willing to give up Netflix? There's a big difference between wanting and willing. And we have to be willing to do a lot of the stuff we're going to be called to do, to expand our consciousness, to include our desired outcome, which we have to do. Our desired outcome is still out here. So we have to change something to include that, right? All right, and I have really tried doing just the mental work, where just the vision boards and just the fun imagining and visualizations, it does not work. It has to be followed up with doing the physical activities. So the other thing we want to do is we want to learn to embody courage. Because a lot of the things we will be facing, because it's out of our comfort zone, it is going to feel scary because it's new. Most of you have seen that I sing a lot here. But you know, my first gig, my first time I ever sang in front of an audience, after the first song, and I was playing with my band, after the first song, I put my bass down and I ran to the bathroom because I was pretty sure I was going to throw up. That was at that weird bar at the North End, Mom. Remember that? Yeah, I was pretty sure I was going to be sick. I yelled something about like, oh, I have to fix my contact, right? Really, I was like, but I kept doing it, right? And I am excited to sing, but I never have that fear, like of throwing up in front of you all anymore, so. I had to step into courage to do that. Stepping into courage is what transforms us. Now, a lot of times people think, well, I want to be fearless first. I want to clear all my fears first. But you know, when my son was 3, the first time I ever took him to a pool, I remember how excited he was to jump in the pool because he saw the other kids doing it. But he was also terrified. So I stood in the water with my arms open to him while he worked his nerve to finally jump in the water. And I caught him, and then he did it again and again. Pretty soon he's like, back up, Mom. And then I wasn't close anymore, and he was jumping in the water. At the end of that afternoon, his level of self-confidence had gone up. He experienced a transformation because he embodied courage to do something that he was terrified of doing. He didn't stand at the edge of the pool and make a plan first to try to relieve his fear. He didn't make a vision board first and journal about it. Now, all of these things are good, and they're good starting points, but we still have to step into courage and do that thing that is scaring us in that moment. Now, operating on faith can feel scary. Going from here to here can feel scary. It's like driving in at night. All you see is 20 feet in front of you with your headlights. But you operate on faith, you trust your car, you trust that 20 feet's enough. Getting from here to here can feel scary, but we're expanding our consciousness every time we do that new thing. We're stretching our comfort zone out to get ready to include that desired outcome. So, what this means, getting from here to here, means that some actions will be hard. Some actions will scare us and cause us to be really uncomfortable. Some actions are going to be getting rid of the things that we don't really want to get rid of. But it's like, we want to have this. Are we willing to give up this? Okay, so we're going to be sacrificing. Now, this is where grace and ease become so important to this process. I remember when I first heard grace and ease, because Brother Mark uses the term all the time in the spiritual mind treatments and affirmative prayer. At first, when you hear it, it sounds like grace and ease. Oh, it just makes everything easy. But see, grace is the givingness of spirit to its creation. It is everything you could possibly need. Anything you could possibly need. If you need courage, if you need resilience, if you need abundance, creativity, fortitude, to get you from here to here, it's available with grace and ease. Here it is. Take what you need. It's not forced on us because we have free will. We choose to receive it. We choose to utilize it. But it is always available. We don't have to fight for it. We don't have to beg for it. It's there. Just like that. Just like that. Now, the more we practice this, the more we're stretching out our comfort zone. We keep practicing it, all the scary stuff, the turmoil, the drama, all the changes that we have to make, that stuff starts settling down once you've stretched out your consciousness to include your desired outcome. And you know what you just did? You stretched out your comfort zone. You stretched out your comfort zone. Now your new desired outcome is included in your comfort zone because you've expanded your consciousness. You can now maintain your desired outcome because you have transformed. You won't be like the lottery winner and blowing all your money to get back into this tiny comfort zone. You've expanded. Now I'm going to read something really beautiful that Gail showed this morning on Facebook. It's a picture of a chrysalis that a butterfly's in. Do you know when a caterpillar crawls into or creates the chrysalis? It actually dissolves inside the chrysalis and is all mushy. It dissolves to be able to transform into the butterfly. So it says, nobody ever talks about this part, which is between here and here, right? All this. Nobody ever talks about this part. You know, the part where you're no longer a caterpillar and not yet a butterfly. You don't know who you are and you don't know where you're going. Well, we know, because we're focusing on our desired outcome through the creative process, right? You know that every fiber of your being is calling for transformation, for disruption, for revolution, to surrender, to break down the old. See, when we're transforming from here to here, we're actually changing our physical vibration too. Because remember, our physical body is an anchor for that desired outcome. It's the physical body that helps us maintain the new level of consciousness through our activity and our choices. I want to thank you so much for sharing this, Gail. So the easiest thing that we can do for ourselves to help through this is to accept. For a little while, we may be uncomfortable. We may be uncomfortable. Change doesn't always feel good, but discomfort means we are moving into the new consciousness. The discomfort means that the comfort zone no longer feels okay. The discomfort is the transition as we're expanding our consciousness. If nothing is changing in our lives and we're not feeling uncomfortable, nothing is changing in our lives. Nothing is changing. So all of this is not really about hard work, although some of it feels hard. But you know what? Hard is having to walk 4 miles to get water or change a tire on a bus. Uphill, both ways. That's hard. A lot of what we're doing is we're making new decisions, new choices, taking new action. Going from here to here is about sacrificing the behaviors that are keeping us from having our desired outcome. That's what that is. Now I want to go back to Mark's reading here for a second. He said, from this book, it is necessary that life clothe itself in form, else it would remain unexpressed. Us having a desire that we want to manifest, this is life seeking to express through us. It's the right thing to choose something to create. It's the right thing to let an idea come through us. It's the right thing to do. Creation is the result of the self-knowingness of the creative spirit. Consciousness clothes itself in form in the individual life as well as in the universal. See, we're not randomly trying to force something good to happen in our lives. Source supports that creation. Source supports it. We just have to get out of our own way. That's what we have to do. The infinite mind must be manifest. It must manifest itself in persons, places, and things. And that's how we're creating our desired outcome. Now, the first step in the creative process is pick something, then it's see it, feel it, speak it out loud. The third step is repeat it over and over and over until it's manifest in your life. But you know, there's a fourth step. Pick a new desire to create, because we are designed to create. The infinite mind must continue to be made manifest in new, exciting ways for us through all of our experiences. Now you are a divine being walking around in a body. You're created to create. And when you live your dream and contribute to the abundance consciousness of the planet by living your dream, you inspire others to do the same. So I have an affirmation. Let's say this together. I'll say it first. I am a means for divine ideas to be made manifest. I am a means for divine ideas to be made manifest. I am the way Source expresses in the world. I am the way Source expresses in the world. And together we say,
and so it is.
So it is. Thank you.
Amen.